From Lake Hartwell in South Carolina, it's the most important event in the sport of fishing, the 2015 World Championship, the Geico Bassmaster Classic, presented by GoPro.
This looks like it's going down in the record books as the coldest Bassmaster Classic in history.
I can tell you in major events, this is the coldest big event I've ever fished in my life.
Out of my 13 classics now, this is the worst that I've ever seen conditions.
Like, this is the coldest tournament ever I've fished in my life.
There's really nothing you can do. I mean, dress, layer up as much as you can.
If the weather will stay 33 degrees or warmer, you know, fishing is very doable. When it gets below freezing, it is so hard to fish.
It changes how fast you want to go, where you want to go, do you want to run, because wind chill factor, you know, cutting across the lake is a big thing. That's the middle part that you look into is, do you make that decision to freeze?
The weather's going to be a big factor this week, but someone's going to win this Bassmasters Classic. That's all there is to it.
This is kind of what I wanted. I wanted it to be tough, and it's going to be tough.
Hey, the tougher, the better. Bring it on, I'm ready.
Well, that's it right there. For almost 45 years, that's the trophy you want to hoist at the end of it all if you want to be the world champion, the #1 angler in the sport of fishing. That is the World Championship Trophy for the Geico Bassmaster Classic, 45th edition, just about to get started. Tommy Sanders here with Mark Zona, and we heard our guys who have to be tough guys this week as well say it, especially Mike McClellan. It's bad out there, but somebody's going to catch him. Somebody's going to win.
No, it's not bad. It's one word. It is brutal.
Well,
in fact, something we've never seen in a Bassmaster Classic. Part of Lake Hartwell right now is frozen, and usually job #1 for these anglers, catch them, put in the live well. Not the case. Maintain your equipment.
Let's talk about that equipment. Let's go out for our Geico quotes from the boat. Here is Robbie Floyd.
Things look a lot warmer inside that studio, but I promise you, this morning at takeoff, it's extremely cold, and these anglers have to adjust not only their bodies, but their equipment. Guys have been talking about they don't want their rod lockers to freeze up, or when they're trying to go in that live well, those fish splash around, could freeze up their instruments, but also mainly are the rods and reels, their line guides. When they freeze up, they actually make like little razor blades on that fluorocarbon, so they're spraying stuff like silicone spray, trying to keep the line flowing smoothly through those rod guides as well as the reel guide. It's like a violinist in the bow. You can only go across those strings so many times, and eventually they're gonna bust. These guys are having to make adjustments, but I promise you guys, it is a lot colder this morning than it was even at Grand Lake a couple of years ago.
You know, you just gotta know that it's gonna be cold. Most importantly today is knowing that the fishing's gonna be a little bit tougher because of the conditions and a shorter day. You know, it's got cut down an hour and a half, and so knowing that you have 6.5 hours to go out there and get 5 good bites, that's the hard part mentally.
You never know how it's going to affect them. I mean, you really don't, because the water temperature was it's dropped 3 degrees since practice, since Wednesday, 3 degrees. So I don't know what that's going to do. No one really knows.
I like to keep everything covered. I got out of the truck warm, put on the clothes. I'm still warm now. So.
I mean, this feels right at home right now. I mean, the only difference is there's not ice on the water, so it'd be nice to launch a boat and do a little fishing today.
Let's get a look at our frigid playing field this week with our Yamaha Unlock the Lake. It is Lake Hartwell, of course, where we had the Classic back in 2008, an upland reservoir not far from our host city of Greenville, South Carolina. Host city of Anderson, South Carolina is where the lake is located proper, about 45 miles long, 1,000 miles of shoreline. The ones to watch this time around, Mark Zona, let's start with our 2013 Bassmaster Classic champion.
Very simple. Cliff Pace won on Grand Lake. The reason why we're watching him, trust me, he will have put his time practicing here. The other side of that, this lake sets up just like Grand Lake in Oklahoma.
Sat out the last season due to an injury, a broken leg, a deer hunting accident. Brett Hite, who started out the 2014 season in fine fashion, won himself a big tournament. He hadn't fished for years with the Elite Series and just picked up where he left off.
Exactly right. Won last year on Lake Seminole, won a Bassmaster Elite Series, known as a shallow water guy, but a lot of history on Lake Hartwell.
Mike McClellan also won an Elite Series event last year in 2014 in cold water on Table Rock.
And that's the only reason we're watching Mike. The main reason, he grew up on Table Rock, fishing bull shoals. this lake very similar to those lakes.
Mike McClellan, Upland Reservoir Specialist without peer. Mike Iaconelli, we just watch. He's a big game player. He shows up for the big games in a big way. That is reason enough to be watching.
And the other side of that, growing up in New Jersey, he says he loves cold weather classics. Well, he didn't say he likes it 4 degrees, but this one sets perfect for Mike Iaconelli.
Had a big week on the Delaware River, his home state of New Jersey, and a great victory this year. And Greg Hackney, our Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year, definitely on a roll.
This is a momentum call right here. You know, Greg Hackney said he had a phenomenal practice. Will that practice fade into the event?
Greg Hackney, of course, won a big tournament at Cayuga to finish the regular season last year, went and defended his title in Michigan, and everyone's odds-on favorite coming up to this one, a true hometown favorite, Casey Ashley.
There's nobody in the field that knows more about Lake Hartwell than Casey Ashley, and the other side of it is, Casey Ashley said, the weather system, the brutal cold weather, setting up perfect for the way he fishes.
Casey Ashley, 31 years old, from nearby Donald, South Carolina. Everyone with their eyes on Casey Ashley this week.
And the forecast for day number 1 by far is going to be the toughest day of this event, barely getting above freezing. In fact, hour-and-a-half delay is going to hold our anglers in for a little bit, putting some added pressure on.
Yeah, trying to get some of the ice off the ramp and the boats off the trailers as well. It's been a project for this group out here today, but getting started in 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Not too many of these guys have experience running a bass boat in that weather. I don't know if Brett Hite has a lot. He's from Phoenix, Arizona, basically the sunshine capital of the United States, but this Bassmaster Elite Series winner from 2014, ready to rig up his worm, get going on day 1 of the Classic.
Yeah, for me, it's all about seeing them on this graph and then catching them. Here's one. Nice and easy. Oh, baby. Coming to dead. That's the way to start the Classic, baby.
And that right there is something we did not see in 2008, a giant spotted bass, and this lake is loaded with those now. From Brett Hite, we're going to jump across Hartwell over to Casey Ashley. And there's about a 2-hour window on this lake where these fish want to herd blueback herring. In fact, the bass in this lake start to actually act like stripers, and Casey Ashley said the first 2 hours of every morning will be critical.
All right, we wonder how much of those 2 hours he has left here. Again, we started an hour-and-a-half late on this day. Casey Ashley, 10th place in Angler of the Year points this year. That's how he got in this important tournament.
I know when I get on that water, the only way you're going to win this tournament is to be on your A game. It don't matter if people expect you to win or if they expected you to finish last. It's a fishing tournament. With the weather conditions, you don't really know what's going to happen. You know, this is kind of what I wanted. I wanted it to be tough, and it's going to be tough. Being able to concentrate on what you're doing. Your rods are going to freeze all day. Your lines are going to freeze in your reels. It's just going to be a mental battle just to actually fish. And, you know, with the fishing conditions, it's going to be tough on top of that. It's going to be interesting. There he is, finally. That feels like a decent fish. Not a giant, but we will take him. He's number 1 of the Bassmaster Classic, baby. We gotta hurry up and get back out there, though. This, what I'm fishing right here is a ditch. It winds out through a creek. The creek's real flat. It gets out here to the mouth of it, and there's like a ridge, and it's got a real defined ditch cut through it. These fish are loaded up. I pulled in here this morning. You see all these birds circling around. That's a good sign. That means the bait's in here and the fish are active. It's got them pushing up. So we gotta make the best of it while they're here. They won't bite long. I've already had 2 bites, didn't Didn't eat it. We can get a decent limit doing this right here. It'll make the day go a lot smoother.
I've never fished when it was that cold.
It's actually kind of dangerous. You're wearing all this gear and big boots, and you're not as agile as you normally are, and you could slip and fall in the water.
Most all of us have fallen in a time or two, if not more.
That's what can, literally kill you.
When you get icy conditions like we're going to be dealing with, it gets a little bit more, risky and intense.
The Geico Bassmaster Classic, presented by GoPro, is brought to you by Toyota. GoPro. Berkeley. And by Evan Williams Bourbon.
I probably watched it 3 different times over the next 2 months when I would get home for one night, and I would just make sure I still really did win, and I'd watch it again, making sure it was really true.
Randy Howell, 2014, after decades literally of hard work in the sport of bass fishing, he brings home its biggest prize. No way we're not going to keep our eyes on Randy Howell as we start the 2015 Classic.
I need to be keeping my bait right in here about where my edge of where my boat is. It's 8-9 feet rock where it drops off here. There's a good long cast. That's what you need to do every time to get it out there and get it down deeper. Because they've been hanging right in this 8 to 10 foot range out here a little deeper off the rocks. There's a fish. There he is. He ate it too. Got the old red howler right in his mouth. There we go. Yeah, boy. There's the first one wants to bite today. Look at that. I think he still likes the red howler, just like at Gunnersville. We just got to get the cast out there.
Well, you heard Randy Howell. Obviously, this was his plan to fish in this way, just like he did last year. From Randy Howell, going back over to Casey Ashley, who fished his first Classic here back in 2008. In those years since, Mark Zona, some things have changed. A lot of things have grown in importance.
Well, really, these fish that chase these blueback herring, the largemouth and spotted bass, the problem is these fish have become nomadic. They really live like a striper, like a saltwater fish, and swim around until they collide with these herring. The key on this lake, and Casey Ashley has it, knowing where these schools live.
There you go. That's a good fish there. That feels like a head shaker. I don't know, it might be a mean spot. That's the kind we need. Number 2, baby. They arced up all over the dip finder. We got to get back in there.
Better than average size largemouth right there for Casey Ashley. If you heard what he said right there, is we got to get back in there. He said these largemouth will lay dormant. Really, they'll lay dormant all night long. But one of these schools of blueback herring swim by, and you get one of those largemouth to ignite, you can get that whole school in a frenzy and catch every single one of them.
Casey Ashley, like you say, anxious to get back in it, a sense of urgency for the reasons you mentioned, Mark Zona, and for the fact that this is a phenomenon that only lasts for a short period during this day. So Casey Ashley on the board now.
There's another one. It's another solid keeper. It's a good way to get started. We got to get bigger than that, though. Get us a limit. It'll be a good start. There's some tanks down there. I I caught 2 giants here in practice.
Not exactly what the rest of the field wanted to see and hear on the first day of the Bassmaster Classic.
Not at all. Casey Ashley doing some damage offshore. Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year for 2014. The #1 guy from the Elite Series in this classic is that man. Right there, Greg Hackney, who started his charge to the top about the 3rd event of the season, Lake Dardanelle in Arkansas, but lost out on the win there, came back to win at the end of the season at Cayuga Lake to take the title.
Exactly. Greg Hackney fishing the lower end of Hartwell. And he said he had a great practice. Now, the thing to know about Greg Hackney, he loves the Bassmaster Classic. He had a great practice, but he was very vocal. He cannot stand cold weather. But the good thing in Hackney's favor is whenever he got a bite in practice, it was generally 4 pounds or bigger.
I didn't think the shallow deal was going to happen. I think the water temperature dropped too much. I mean, it's 44 over there where we started, and it's 39 right here, you know.
Greg Hackney not liking the conditions in that immediate area. Greg Hackney, whose best finish in a Bassmaster Classic was right here, 2008. That's another reason he's one of our ones to watch on day 1 here.
Exactly. Like we said, he is not getting a lot of bites, but they're quality bites. But just listen to that 39-degree water temp. And the other side of it is a lot of these anglers fishing 45 to 55-degree water. Hackney's starting to look shallower, needs to find something quick. Got him right there.
Big one too. Big one, I think. Oh gosh. Maybe they did move up shallow because he was up there. It's a lot shallower than I've been fishing. But I saw one in that other pocket over about 25. So I said, well, I'll cast up there in about 25 and look out where they were. So bit too. It's been great, and like I said, I've been very blessed to have won as much as I have. But for me personally, it likes that piece of the, there's that one piece of the pie that's missing, and for the pie to be complete, I need a classic win.
Day 1, it's still early. The World Championship of Bass Fishing, the Geico Bassmaster Classic, presented by GoPro. These anglers have to be a little extra tough. A tough bunch of guys they are to begin with, but this time around, we started out in 10 degrees Fahrenheit today. Randy Howell, who called an audible on the final day of last year's Classic to head to a place that looks kind of like this.
Exactly, and we've covered Randy for many years. He's fished the Bassmasters for almost 20 years. He said the one thing he learned from that tournament on Lake Guntersville that we're looking at right here, when he won the Classic, basically it gave him confidence that he could win. He said, really, there's only been one bad thing about winning the Bassmaster Classic. He wants to win it worse than ever. He said coming into this tournament after practice, he felt like he was on the fish to win this one too.
Kind of looks a little familiar, almost looks like last year at Guntersville here with my spot. This is the Livingston Howler that I won the Classic last year on, the Guntersville crawl color too. Every one that I've caught on has been some good quality fish, and they've been just choking, having it in their throat, which they really can tell they're eating crawfish when they're doing that. There he is. Oh, that's a good one, it feels like. Come on, Lord. Yes, big one, big one. Big and Lord, please let him stay on, baby. Oh, come on, come on. Got your butt. Yeah. Woo! There you go. He ate it too, boy. Got that red hook on that howler, baby, right there. That's what we're looking for. That's the kind I've been catching. That's the kind it takes to be in contention after this first day.
Randy Howell now with two good keepers, cutting some of that deficit from Casey Ashley, who still holds the lead here. We're going to move from Randy Howell over to the man who had his big moment in 2014 there in his home area, the tri-state area, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware, winning on the Delaware River. Mike Iaconelli, the 2003 Bassmaster Classic champion from down in the Louisiana Delta.
Big one. Stay down there. Oh my God! Oh my God! You sucker!
We're live, Mike.
Live and direct from Bassmaster, eating a missile jig, baby. Whew. Look out. Number 2 coming your way, baby. I can't even get it out. Talk about eating it. Another 5-pounder. Man, they're long. They look like salmon.
You can tell a bass on the lower end of this lake that chases herring his entire life. Big, long, and skinny. For Mike Iaconelli, going to head back up to the Seneca River with Randy Howell. One thing we're seeing early in this Bassmaster Classic, not a ton of fish catches, but almost everything that's been landed has been way above average so far.
There he is. That's a big one if that's a bass. Lord have mercy. That's a big one if that's a bass. Lord, let it be a big bass. Come on, baby, be a big bass. It feels funny like a catfish or something, but I don't know. I'm gonna bring it back there in just a second. Come on, baby. Come on, be a bass. Oh, gosh. It is a bass. God, he is a bass. He's hooked in the top of the head. Man, what a fighting fish. Come on, Jesus. Yes. Woo! Thank you, Lord. There we go. Oh my gosh, I thought that was a catfish for a minute. That is almost a 4-pounder. Take him right now. Oh my gosh, I thought that was a catfish or something. I ain't never seen nothing to beat that. Oh, he was fighting. Fish fight that hard in cold water. Tells you that it's not bothering them a whole lot. It's unreal. Right on that corner, I was slow rocking it down. I stopped it right. I stopped it just a second. I felt it crawl over that rock, and as it was kind of crawling over that rock, I felt it just go, woof, just load up hard. Like a catfish. Kind of what I thought it felt like. Now it's going right. This is what my plan's supposed to be doing right here. Well, when that current's flowing and coming in, pulling into a corner or into a drop like that with rock, it makes the bait fish flow with the current, and the bass sit on the structure waiting to ambush as they come to them.
And that's your Skeeter Taste the Bait. Randy Howell said, all of this riprap looked the same from above. He said, but under the water, in about 10 to 12 feet of water, there was one big rock that just stood about a foot taller than the rest of the rocks. And when his Livingston lure howler would hit that rock, that's when those better than average sized bass would eat it. And Tommy Sanders, I'll tell you, that is not the same footage from Lake Gunnersville from last year.
Though you might think so, looking at that. Randy Howell definitely in his classic comfort zone, a lot of continuity from the 2014 Classic. And Randy Howell right now with a slim lead, just a sliver ahead of Mike Iaconelli and Brett Hite.
The Geico Bassmaster Classic. presented by GoPro, is brought to you by Yamaha, Skeeter Boats, Bass Pro Shops, and by Humminbird. Be sure to send in your catch to bassmaster.com/catch or #BigCatchContest.
Out to Brett Hite right now with one good spotted bass in the boat, and he basically abandoned all of his deep water areas. Said he had 3 or 4 giant schools of spotted bass. Said he had to head in shallow, fish boat docks to fill his limit. The thing about Brett Hite on this lake, his track record here in FLW tournaments, literally in the top 10 or 20 almost every time he's been here. No lack of confidence and no lack of fishing areas.
Obviously, this move later in the day, as we saw from that highlight reel, basically from Brett Hite, was the right move, but there's one he really could have used right there. Not happy about that. Still working this area over Brett Hite, who really never fished the early years of the Bassmaster Elite Series. He is fishing in his 3rd Bassmaster Classic, and as you say, Mark Zona, in those interim years, he's got some great experience here.
This is the one. This is the one, baby. Oh, 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 come here, baby.
Yeah! Woo!
Brett Hite, in the opening minutes of this first day of the Classic, we saw Brett Hite put the first fish in the boat, a good one too, but then he went for hour after hour without a decent keeper, comes back, makes a decision, changes, and does this.
Exactly, and this is a backup deal for Brett Hite. He planned on spending literally the entire tournament in 20 to 45 feet of water, calling the audible on day number 1, definitely capitalizing.
Well, you can see from those totals right there, Brett Hite on the right size fish if you're going to get on a winning track. This Geico Bassmaster Classic. So the man from Phoenix, Arizona, coming here to the eastern seaboard and making a big hit. Another guy a little bit more shallow, Dean Rojas.
You know, and really, if you're starting to look at what's transpiring on this first day, there's boat docks in the background of every one of these big ones. Dean Rojas with a huge day so far. And these are shallow docks. You look at the bank right there, these are very, very shallow boat docks. Dean Rojas catching them, and almost every fish he sets the hook on is a big largemouth. Another one right there. And from Dean Rojas, another angler targeting boat docks, Skeet Reese. And really, as mild as the winter has been up to this week, obviously there is an enormous population of fish 5 foot of water and less.
Skeet Reese, who has a tremendous reputation for doing well in adverse weather conditions, certainly taking advantage of these cold mornings here in South Carolina to do well this day 1 of the Bassmaster Classic. You see him jumping out of the top 6 all the way to a tight 3rd place.
I took one for the team, but look at that beast. Yes!
Yes, you did. Catch a hoe, Skeet.
Soaked.
Skeet Reese moving up that board right there over to Michael Iaconelli, who, believe it or not, has over 1,000 spots marked on this lake, doing a lot of moving, but you can't move fast once you get to one of these places.
You know what you need to do. You need to get on these key areas, and there's a lot of them, and you need to slow down. But the problem is the clock. You know, that clock is always your enemy in a tournament, and it's always working against you. Unlike a lot of guys, I'm sure in the top 10, I don't have a single honey hole that's been the deal. I have 50 or 60 places that have the potential for a bass, and I need to hit all those places. And so you have to fish slow, you have to cover a lot of water, and the clock's working against you. That's a weird mix of things.
Big one.
Spot. Two and 3/4.
There's the leaderboard. Dean Rojas, Brett Hite moving a little bit more shallow, getting the job done. Ditto Mike Iaconelli, sticking with his plan, staying in touch with the leaders.
If I'm gonna grind in a tournament, The Classic is one I can do it. In a regular elite event, man, you're thinking about points and pounds, you're watching your clock. But here, you kind of don't really care because you know you need big ones to win.
Geico Bassmaster Classic 45th Edition World Championship of Bass Fishing. Dean Rojas of Arizona on top of the leaderboard on this day one of 3 days of fishing. Now out Casey Ashley from South Carolina.
Casey said coming in this tournament, he knew the first day guys were going to wreck them up shallow. He said, but there's no way you could be consistent days 2 and 3. He said this whole tournament will come down to one thing, that is blueback herring.
These fish, the herrings, following this ditch back to the creek. Anytime you get any kind of fresh water run in, brings oxygen to the lake. The herring don't really care about temperature. It's all about oxygen. So when it rains or snows or whatever, any kind of run in the backs of these pockets, that's what brings the herring here and the fish follow them. There he is. Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's the kind we need. Stay down, stay down, stay down. Ah! It's a solid 3.5 pounder. That's the kind of fish right there won the Bassmaster Classic right there, buddy. Number 4, and they're getting bigger.
Casey Ashley with his 4th and best fish of the day. From Casey Ashley, we move over to Randy Howell. Caught 3 good ones early, but not much since.
He did. Randy Howell definitely catching quality, but not quantity. Pretty much every bite, as short as this day is, will count for Howell.
There he is. That's a good one too. Another big one. Another big one. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. That's a good, oh, you just come off right there. Go. Lee. Why in the world I'd have to do that? God. 4 pounder. Oh. Such a mush mouth bite. He just bit it so soft it felt like I was in fishing line. It didn't even feel like it was a fish. He was right there. I was looking right at him. I thought he just looked like he was hooked good. The whole bait just crossed his mouth. He made his little turn and kind of went that way with his head a little bit, and I saw the bait just go whoop, come loose. That's 3 fish over 3 pounds right there on that corner. That was bigger than any of them other ones too.
Randy Howell, who had just gotten knocked out of the top 6 by Casey Ashley, and his good 4th fish had a chance to jump right back in it there. Every fish counts in the Bassmaster Classic. Randy Howell feels that right now.
Gonna head back down the lake to Mike Iaconelli right now, and here's one of the problems you're seeing with a lot of our anglers with a shortened day. Michael Iaconelli with only 3 bites needs 2 bites, and he needs them quick.
Big one. It's a big one. It's a big one. Oh God, it's a big one. Yeah. 3 pounder. Came at a great time of the day. One left. Good 3 pounder. Yeah, solid 3.
Iaconelli with one of those 2 fish he needed. A good one, though, keeps him in the top 5, being in position. Just like in 2003, you lay the groundwork on the first day. We'll be back with a bit more fishing in the weigh-in for the first day in moments.
The Geico Bassmaster Classic, presented by GoPro, is brought to you by Mercury, Minn Kota, Triton Boats, and by Nitro.
Final hour of day one, Geico Bassmaster Classic, and Randy Howell, who had a great start, 3 good fish to start his day. It's been slow, but bridges, he knows, are important to him. And here at Lake Hartwell, there are plenty of bridges, and he's moving around on them.
Well, I was going on up. I decided to stop here on the way. Saw this current running. Right now, an hour and 15 minutes to go. It's key time for him to feed. The water's running. Wind's blowing a little bit. It's time for him to bite on these corners. I'm gonna try to hit as many of these key feeding spots, little target spots, ambush spots, as I can and try to see what we can do right here in the lake. Well, the morning started out slow, but we finally got a few fish in the boat. Got a 2-pounder and about a 3 1/4 and about 3 1/2, and then I had a 4-pounder get off. So I had one little flurry there in about 15 minutes, and they were biting real good. And it's the time of the day, and practice has been the best. It's always like that when it's cold. There he is. It's a good when it feels like. Yeah, slower. Come on, buddy. Yeah, got him. Upside down. Eat the howler, baby. Woo! Number 5. Choked on it too, boy. He ate it. Thank you, Lord. Man, it feels good to get that 5th one. Took long enough. Wow. Good though, we still got time.
Randy Howell in hopes that a final hour flurry is going to happen here on day one of the Classic. We're going to move now from Randy Howell over to Casey Ashley. Howell and Ashley bumping each other out of that 6th spot all day long.
Well, and Casey's definitely been culling, but he's not been making big culls. And he said really he's had a meat and potatoes technique here for this Classic. Last year when he won the FLW, every bass but one came on a jig. He caught one bass on an underspin jig head with a fluke on the back. That is how he caught every single bass early this morning, and really it was all in the retrieve. And Casey Ashley said he's local, but he does not have that big of an advantage here.
Even though I am local, I have to learn the lake every year, you know, because if the lake's down, you know, certain areas that were good, you know, that structure's, it's no longer available to you anymore. So you have to constantly keep up with the lake level. Just knowing where fish live and being able to adjust, you know, this pattern may work in this certain area of the lake when the lake level's at this, you know, but you just have to find where that is when the lake level is what it is now. Well, that was a pretty productive first start anyway. You just get a limit, get the day going. Pressure's off now. Nowhere to go but up.
Casey Ashley picked as a favorite here. Who else was going to do well on this day? That's hard to say, but now we're seeing the pattern emerge. We're seeing the guys who are rising to the top.
Exactly, and most of all, I want you to look at the area of the lake these guys are fishing. Look at Keith Combs, Takahiro Omori, Mike Iaconelli as you're fading down towards the dam. Really, the main river systems, the Seneca River, the Tugaloo River, that cold, muddy water, that is not a player. If you're fishing really from mid-lake towards the dam, you were at least in the hunt by the end of day number 1.
How about 3 of the last 4 faces we just saw down there in that part of the lake? All of them from the western part of the United States. Casey Ashley among the 4, the only one from the eastern seaboard.
Exactly, and with the shortened day 1, Casey Ashley already at the limit. Every ounce counts.
That's a good fish. That's the one we need right there. Quit all that. He's just skinny. Ain't bad though, we'll take him.
Casey Ashley, his big move pays off with an upgrade right there. And now to our Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year, Greg Hackney, made a quick move, eliminated some water quickly right off the bat, and then it's been slow but steady.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a slow, painful grind, Tommy. Hackney with only 3 bass in the boat right now. And here's something interesting. He got 1 jig bite in 3 days of practice. Every single bite today has come on a jig, but Hackney, well, he needs to make some fireworks and make them very soon.
It's always my biggest goal, number one, every year. All I want to do is qualify for the Classic. I can't ask for anything else after that. And of course, to give you a shot at winning it comes around 1 time a year. It is the hardest thing ever to qualify for, and you get 1 shot at it, 3 days, it's gone. I mean, the deal is just 2 more decent ones, keep me in the, I learned, now I know what I should be doing. You know what I'm saying, but I just figured it out so late. It's a big one. Please, baby, stay hooked up. Stay hooked up, baby, please. Please, please, please. Please, 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 please. Oh. Thank you, Lord, thank you. Whew, I scared that sucker was gonna come off. Oh, thank you, Lord, thank you. Oh, what a grind, man, what a grind.
You could see what a grind it really was, not only for Hackney, but for the rest of the field. Truly one of the hardest days we have ever seen in Classic history.
Brutal temperatures. It was definitely a tough day to be out watching fishing. If you want to celebrate fishing, though, hey, this was the place to be on day number 1. Hey, here we are, middle of downtown Greenville, at the Bon Secours Wellness Center. Everyone is jacked up and ready to go. Mike Iaconelli, the former Classic champ, couldn't hold it quite up with the top 6. He winds up in 9th place on day number 1. Casey Ashley, the true local with so many fans here, and a respectable weight. He ground out 15-3.
Time just ran out. That the short day, it really took a toll on me. But, tomorrow will be even better. There will be a lot of more big weights come in tomorrow because everybody's going to have that first hour. We'll have a lot of cloud cover tomorrow. So I go around out there tomorrow and see if I can put together a big bag.
And another angler with a lot of rich history on Lake Hartwell, Brett Hite, a miserable morning, salvaged his day, sitting in 4th place with 15 pounds, 7 ounces.
And Brett Hite with 1 fish in the boat until 1:30 in the afternoon. I told him, I said, we were getting a little worried about you. He said, I was plenty worried about me at that point in the day. And Randy Howell, similar story, working so hard, only got a very few bites, but they were good ones. Perfectly positioned. They say you can't repeat unless you've won the first one. He's done that, and he's in position to do it again.
How about Keith Combs from Texas? 5 bites all day long, but they were the right 5. A big bass specialist, 18 pounds and 8 ounces, puts Combs in 3rd place.
You have to struggle through it. You dip your rod in the water and thaw it out, and it's a long day when you're doing that about every 3 or 4 casts. But hey, if I can catch 18 pounds, I'll take it.
Keith Combs, definitely a dangerous character anytime they have a tournament. Doing well here at the Classic. And Skeet Reese, what you said about former Classic champs, they burned to get back on top and grab this trophy.
Exactly right. Skeet Reese looking for bookends for his Classic trophy from the Red River. Huge weight on day 1, 20 pounds and 2 ounces, and almost shocked the arena. Not only the arena, that weight right there would shock Skeet Reese.
That's a great way to start. Really, I thought I had about 17 pounds. So when you have see 20 pounds, it's a really good feeling.
Skeet Reese, and here's the big shot of the day. Dean Rojas, one of those guys who's so decorated, holds a record that'll maybe never be broken, but he doesn't have a Classic. Hey, he's trying to win one here.
This is a different Dean Rojas than we have ever seen at a Classic. Calm, very quiet, and very cool. Started shallow, lived shallow, and ended up with a giant bag. 21 pounds and 2 ounces. Dean Rojas in the driver's seat going into day number 2 of the Bassmaster Classic.
What would this title mean to you?
Oh, it's everything.
this and an AOI. Those are the two big ones. So I've been here 12 other times, including this one, and I want to get it done.
Right, not the first time we have seen first day surprises at the Bassmaster Classic. Mark Zona, 2 guys from the sunny Southwest leading during the record cold snap on the eastern seaboard. Besides the personnel surprises, what else has shocked you?
We expected fish to get caught deep, but for this tournament right now to be dominated fishing boat docks in 5 to 10 degrees out, I'm not gonna lie, that stunned me, and the other side of that is, will that hold out the next 2 days?
All right, do you think that's going to become a more popular, more people are going to adapt tomorrow to something like that, or will they think, no, it can't hold out?
Well, here's the best thing. It's going to be 40 degrees on day 2, and that'll pretty much feel like summertime.
All right, we'll have it all for you. Day 2 of the Geico Bassmaster Classic, presented by GoPro, next time we see you.
Yeah.
Bassmaster Classic. First one.
Yeah. Got him. Upside down. What a grind, man. What a grind.
He's #1 of Bassmaster Classic, baby.